Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. A big warm welcome. This is your tarot reading for the week ahead. As ever, take what's helpful, leave what isn't. Always get your life to fit in. No, get the messages to fit into your life rather than get your life to fit into the messages. Almost said that the wrong way around. So we start off with a glorious, glorious energy. I'm so pleased to see the fall coming through. There can often be some misunderstandings around the fall. It's not about being foolish or idiotic. Sometimes it can, and there is a touch of that coming through, which I'll expand upon. But ultimately, it talks about freedom, a sense of abandon, sense of adventure, being very open-hearted, open-handed to the lessons, the adventures, to the encounters that life wants to bring to us. It's very likely, therefore, that you're going to be feeling lighter of foot this week. Those things that have perhaps weighed you down, have been causing you a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of worry, a little sense of unclarity may come through. There is certainly some overlap here between you and your earthly neighbor Taurus, because they also has the appearance of the Nine of Swords in reverse, as well as the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, and we have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. So a similar kind of energy. I'll speak of the Nine of Swords first because it links very strongly with that fall energy, that sense of freedom and lightness, because the Nine of Swords, the Lord of Despair, is often about anxieties, worries, fear, those things that keep us up at night. The fact that we have that in reverse indicates an overcoming of that energy, at least in this instance. And therefore, as we well know, as I've mentioned a couple of times on this channel, Virgo sometimes has a propensity towards overthinking, perfectionism, worry, which can sometimes be useful because it enables you to spot things other people may have missed, or noticing the finer details. I feel, particularly with the Fool card, that has paid dividends, and there is a call for you to no longer have to do that this week. This is very given, and the fact that we've got the Hermit card in reverse here. Correct me if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below. I think this card came out for you last week, or potentially the week before, but in recent times for sure. And Virgo rules the Hermit card, and you'll have heard me say it before, if you've been with the channel for a while. When you have the card that represents your star sign in your spread, it's great because it indicates you do what you do best. The fact that we've got it in reverse here doesn't mean the opposite by any means. It's just reiterating and reestablishing this idea that we don't need to get caught up in the head this week. We don't need to be cautious Carols or cautious Carls or whatever it may be. That time for um, uh, worry or trepidation, that's had its time now. That's had its, and again, that may very well have served its purpose and been very useful. It's just a reminder to you. It's kind of, you've almost got to tell your system, your mind, body, and soul, okay, we don't need to be hypervigilant anymore. Everything's fine. Everything's working out. There is a lot of collective worry and anxiety going around at the moment, for good reason in many ways. I would really encourage you not to get caught up in that fervor or that maelstrom of anxiety and worry. The fact that these cards have laid out in this way pretty much indicate that you won't. So it's just using that conscious effort of going, nope, I'm starting to overanalyze, I'm starting to get caught up in the head, and I don't need to. There is a real contrast here between the Fool and the Hermit. The Hermit is almost the old man that's telling off the Fool, the child, to get off his land or get out of his garden. There's almost a kind of teacher student energy here, or kind of grandfather and grandchild energy here. And why I bring that up is to say that, you know, there are times to be responsible and very mature and very considered, and there are times to be more, I don't want to say necessarily childish, but more liberated, more it's useful at times for lots of careful planning. And again, with Taurus, there was lots about long-term plans, but for you, I want you to live slightly more in the moment and not have to be the sensible one all of the time. We've got the new moon in Leo coming up at around this time, and that's a very creative and spontaneous energy. And there's something here about really piggybacking on that. It's not that I'm suggesting that you shirk all your responsibilities, but if you're catching yourself of going, well, I should do this and I shouldn't do that, who says? Particularly if you found yourself being quite strict with yourself, quite disciplined. Of course, there is time for that. On occasion, that is very useful. But if it becomes so regimented and so disciplined and so organized, it starts to get a bit flat. And there's something here about the Hermit representing the old ways, or the status quo, or rules in a certain way. And I feel that you can afford to be a bit of a rule breaker this week. We have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse too. In many ways, I see this as quite a Virgo energy. It's obviously the element of Earth, as is Virgo. Very kind of disciplined. The fact that it's reversed, similarly, as I mentioned before, Taurus had the Seven of Pentacles reversed. There's a similar thing going on for both of you in regards to perhaps feeling the fact that it's the 9, as is the Hermit. So you've got 2 9s here, and 9 is the number of completion. You may find a growing frustration, might be too strong a word, but you might find that things aren't quite kind of coming together as you may hoped. They're not as rounded, they're not as finessed, they're still feeling a little bit open and a little bit in flux. I can see an energy of you wanting to almost round things up, or bring things in, a bit like a shepherd herding in his sheep into one clutch. And this week, there's a suggestion that might not be possible here. So you may find that things aren't necessarily bending to your will, or you're not able to rein the horse in as tightly as perhaps you'd anticipated or wanted. That's probably not indicative of the state of affairs forever. But again, the Fool is kind of tapping me on the shoulder and saying, well, just don't take this too seriously. Not everything has to be crossed and dotted and perfected and done to the nth degree. Ask yourself one of 2 questions, therefore. One may be, will that do? Is it close enough? Is it good enough? Or is it a question of patience? Something that came up for Taurus too. So there is a requirement for patience here. But I would encourage you, Virgo, more of displacement activity. Okay, fine, it's not working, right, I'm off. And that's kind of, there's a niceness to it. And I don't feel that that's about you abandoning your responsibilities or abandoning what you need to be doing. It's just more of not forcing it through when it's not ready. And again, we have the 7 of Swords closing out the reading in reverse. Usually that's about looking one way and kind of walking another. The fact it is reversed speaks about some degree of clarity, but also speaks what I've been saying before of not try that sense of trying to bring things together. You can see that he's kind of collecting the swords. Bringing things together may not kind of happen as quickly as you may feel this week that you're working with wet clay, which is not quite molding and shaping in the way that you'd anticipated. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's an invitation, therefore, to go, okay, the clay's too wet. I'm going to wait for it to dry out. I'm going to go do this instead. But obviously, you'll have to use your wisdom, your discernment to know whether you're just delaying what needs to be done. It probably won't go down well with your boss if you're just saying, oh, well, the timing's off. But within your own life, if you're finding this sense of mild annoyance that things aren't coming together in quite the way that you'd hoped, it's fine. It's just a timing thing. As ever, be sure to check out your moon sign and your rising sign if you want a bit more clarity on the week ahead, more of what to expect. If you're not sure how to do that, you can just check the pinned comment below. As ever, I really encourage you to hit subscribe, hit the notifications, comment below, and like the video. It just really helps me know that people are engaged, people are enjoying it. Make any requests that you have in the comments below. But yeah, just keeps getting me to sit down each week and record these videos for you. So until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.